Okay. So I know that there is some like Marvel news, there's some DC news going on. But the only thing that my brain could handle on this Monday is making a video about Last of Us, the last episode called Endure and Survive. Let's just talk about it because it's fun. Why not? It was a good episode. It was a very heavy one, but it was good. So the episode starts out, we have the Hunters or the Resistance, whatever. They overthrew Fedra in Kansas City. You heard these announcements while they were like driving down the street, rounding people up, talking about the city belongs to the people. If you're a collaborator, just fucking turn yourself in now. And you receive a fair trial. Of course, that's the fucking lie. Of course, that's a lie. They're like really beating these Fedra agents' asses. I'm sure some collaborators' asses as well. I know that some part of what like the show and what a lot of media tries to say is that, you know, the people who are getting fucked up can be just as violent as the people who are fucking them up. And me personally, I'm just like, yeah, as they fucking should be. As they should be. Like, I'm not going to get pressed at oppressed people for dragging the shit out of their oppressors. I think the danger comes in when the oppressed start to make the people around them, like their own communities' lives, just as violent as they were when they were being oppressed. Does that make sense? Like, I don't care about the oppressed taking huge shits on the oppressors. Like, I don't care about that. But I think there is something to be considered when, if you are, you know, overthrowing these people, overthrowing these things, and you build a new community that's just as violent as the one that you had before. It's like, yeah, you know, y'all are fucking each other. When y'all start fucking each other up, you know, I think that's when the danger starts. And we see that Sam and Henry, the same guys who Joel woke up to last episode with a gun in his face, are running from the Hunters as well. So I love Kathleen. I'm so sorry. I just love her character. She really ain't nothing to play with. She really is not. She was just like, all right, I'm going to interrogate these collaborators and y'all going to tell me where Henry is. And if y'all, she was like, okay, well, y'all ain't talking, so just kill them. Just kill them all. But then, of course, someone started talking, and then she was just like, yeah, of course you started talking because you're a fucking rat. But, you know, we get to hear just how her thought process really works, right? She ends up telling them, you'll get trials, but we all know how that's gonna go. You'll do some time, because they're all guilty. You'll do some time. She just reminds me of that one drug dealer woman from Euphoria that Rue owed money to, where she has this, you know, softer voice, but she's not going to play with your silly ass. Like, she's just not. We saw how brutal she was when she executed that doctor before, which was the same doctor that had given Henry and Sam shelter. I think Kathleen wants all the men going door to door looking for Henry. Perry's over here like, girl, are you sure about this? Like, you know, there are a lot of pressing matters that we need to handle, especially we just overthrew Fedra. Like, you sure you want to use all our men to do that shit? Perry asks Kathleen also if we are going to really put them on trial. And Kathleen was like, girl, no. And matter of fact, when you're done with that book, when you're done with these stupid motherfuckers, make sure you burn their body. Make sure you burn their bodies because it's faster. Right? So I kind of love how Kathleen in the beginning of, like, when we're just first starting to get to know her, like how she is presented and how her story, like how the audience kind of moves and changes their mind about Kathleen, and juxtaposed to how Henry was positioned. Because in the beginning of the episode, we're just like, oh, damn, he's on the run. Damn, he's scared. What's wrong? And Kathleen is seen as this like villain. And I guess she is, but you know, as we start to learn more about her story, we start to be like, okay, well, if my brother died, you know, the audience thinking like, if somebody fucked up somebody or got somebody killed who was my loved one or relative like that, I would be feeling the same kind of, you know, rage that Kathleen is feeling too. Because we learned that the Fedra military over there at the QZ where Kathleen was at was terrible. Terrible, horrible, torturous, oppressive. But Kathleen's brother, whose name is Michael, was initially the leader of the resistance against Fedra. But at the same time, Kathleen was really the only one who got shit done, as Perry was saying. Kathleen was really the one who got shit done. even if it required her to do some heinous things and terrible things. But her brother was like the nice guy, the face of the resistance. She was really the muscle. I mean, this is kind of how I was interpreting it. So Henry, our guy Henry, sold out Kathleen's brother to Fedra to get cancer medicine for his own brother, for Sam. And he gave Fedra, the leader of the resistance, and Michael was captured and tortured and killed. Fedra drove the infected underground at this cuisine. Which is an important fact to remember as we near the end of the episode. We also find out that the way that Henry and Sam ended up even pointing guns at Joel and Ellie in the first place was because that Henry saw at first when Joel went and killed those people, and he followed them to the office building thinking they could help each other out and help each other escape, especially if you over here trying to shoot up Fedra, or shoot up the resistance and shit. But when they meet up, of course, Joel is not trusting, which makes a lot of sense. But even like when you progress further with their story, Joel doesn't want to work with Henry once he finds out that he was a fucking collaborator with Fedra. And once we find out that Henry collaborated with Fedra or gave over Kathleen's brother, like I said before, it's interesting how these characters start to change in the audience's mind. And even Henry was like, okay, well, am I the villain? Am I the bad guy? And he was asking Joel that. And it's just, you could see that Joel was really processing and thinking, because it's like, on one hand, you're trying to save your brother, yes, but you know, you had to do something really heinous, really fucked up to do it, you know. But the way that this world works, especially apocalyptic bullshit, you know, people are going to do fucked up shit in order to save themselves, save the people that they care about, avoid danger in general. And it's just like, what does that mean, right? Like, what does that mean? Yeah, this is a part of the episode where they made their way into the tunnels underground. They found this underground school where people kind of took shelter while all that shit was going on above ground. But we also, and Ellie and Sam are over here playing with toys, and you know, I thought it was so cute. They're getting to know each other. Kathleen's brother told her to forgive Henry. We find that out when Kathleen was, I think, in her childhood room or something like that. I don't know. So Kathleen's brother told her to forgive Henry when she saw him in jail. But I mean, from the rage that was in Kathleen's eyes, I already knew that shit was not going to happen. And it's like, I just cannot blame her. Yes, she's a villain of this episode, or antagonist of this episode. But when you look at those things through a human perspective, it's just like, yeah, like, I get it. Miss Mamas was pissed. And she was just really fixated on this, when maybe if she would have been able to balance the feelings out, she would have been able to direct her resistance, since she's the leader, to do something, or to stay focused on tasks that would keep the resistance and keep the city alive, right? But it's just those emotions really take over you sometimes, right? Yeah, Kathleen was talking, and she was just like, okay, my brother wanted me to forgive Henry or whatever the fuck, but what did his forgiveness get him? Like, what did he get for that? Like, what did my brother get for that? Right? I love this action sequence at the end of the episode. It was so amazing. Joel's taking out the sniper, then using the sniper to protect Ellie, and then when the hunters were trying to run them over and get them, it was just action fucking packed. I love when Kathleen found Henry and she said, I know why you did what you did. I know why you sold my brother out. But essentially, you know, I'm paraphrasing, that ain't really about to change shit. Did you think that maybe, did you ever think that maybe he, she's referring to Sam, his brother, was supposed to die? She was like, I don't care that he's a kid. Kids die every day. She was essentially saying, like, this resistance, this whole thing is bigger than just your brother, and you gave up the resistance, or you gave up the leader of the resistance. You gave up my brother to save yours. Like, she was like, is Sam worth everything? And it is a very interesting question, because while many of us may agree morally you should do the thing that benefits more people, or as many people as possible, like do whatever benefits the many versus the few, right? But in real life, I'm sorry, I'm saving my brother, I'm saving my mama, I'm saving my best friend, I'm saving, you know what I mean, my spouse, my significant other, whatever. Like, yeah, it sucks, but y'all just gonna have to fight me. And this to me makes really good TV or good stories in general, where you can see where both the protagonist and antagonist are coming from, and both have very, very solid and legitimate and logical and valid reasons of doing something. And it's just like, damn, now we just gotta watch them clash and see who wins, right? And all she ends up saying is that it ends the way it ends. You know, she's like, I don't know what to tell you. You fucked over my brother. I'm gonna not only kill you, but all the people that you came in this club with. Okay. But that truck descends and allows the infected to escape from underground. And it was an absolute disaster. An absolute disaster. All them people that were down there, all them infected that were down there, they were like, oh, well, they saw an opportunity. I'm sure they heard all that noise coming up, and they were like, yeah, we're about to make y'all's night really bad. I remember that little girl zombie that was coming after Ellie when she was flipping around in that car like Megan. Y'all know that new movie that just came out, Megan. She was flipping around that car like Megan. These zombies, I said it before, I'll say it again, these zombies are scary as fuck. I'm so sorry. Like, oh my gosh. That really big zombie, I think is called a bloater. And they're pretty resistant. I think kind of, obviously they're resistant to gunfire, extremely strong. And that bloater literally rips Perry's head off while Kathleen is running away. I was like, fuck. God damn. So now Kathleen was just like, all right, girl, here we are. Here we stand. Kathleen was about to shoot the hell out of Henry, but she ends up getting killed by the Megan zombie. And it was a pretty terrible death. But I kind of knew that some kind of death was coming from his mom. It's like, especially you talking about TV, like you can't just, a lot of times if a character's going through just making people life hell or shooting up people, being really intense, being extremely violent, we already know what's coming for them, especially if she's already positioned as the antagonist in this episode. But yeah, I really, really, really liked Kathleen's character. And like I said before, I really like anti-heroes are my favorite kinds of characters, but or are they? I don't know. Anti-heroes and villains a lot of times are my favorite characters because it's like, girl, yeah, the world is fucked up and it fucked me up and now I'm mad. And now y'all mad because I'm mad, girl. You know what I mean? I just love villains with really believable motivations, right? So later on, Sam and Ellie talk here in this motel when they, and I love when Sam says, if you turn into a monster, is it still you inside? And that's when we find out that Sam had gotten bitten. It was just, I was like, fuck. And of course, like I've said before, if you haven't watched any of my videos before this, I haven't played the game yet. So I really didn't know that any of this was coming, right? So I was like, damn it, Sam got bitten. So it was a cute moment though when Ellie tries the little blood transfusion thing and they hugged. I was like, oh, this is so cute. I really did not know how effective that was going to be because first of all, it wasn't really no full blood transfusion. It was just like, okay, girl, we're going to put our, bloody limbs together and see what happens kind of deal. But Ellie just kind of thought that she was going to be able to save Sam. And Sam was just sitting by that window the next morning like, okay, what's the tea, girl? What's up, mama? And I was like, at first I was like, oh, well, maybe Sam's just taking in the view, maybe just taking in the view. But as she got closer and he wasn't responding, I was like, girl, you need to back the fuck up. I was like, girl, you need to back the fuck up. You need to back the fuck up. And that is when Sam started to attack Ellie. And it was just extremely quick. It was very dramatic. And before you know, they're on the floor, tussling. Henry comes out of nowhere with this damn gun. And Joel tries to be like, hey, wait, like, hold on. He shoots at fucking Joel. And then he shoots at Sam and kills him. Okay? So now keep in mind that Joel had told, not Joel. Henry had told Joel that he wasn't violent, and that when they had first met each other, that Henry was aiming an empty gun at Joel. So now you couple that with the fact that not your first or one of your first acts of like direct violence, I guess. And I know that he's like, he sold that other guy out and killed him. But like we talk about direct like violence, like a direct line of violence from Henry to Sam, right? Instead of like an indirect one where Henry, you know, sold out someone, and he did still cause or have a hand in that man's death, in Kathleen's brother's death, but it probably wasn't as it definitely wasn't, sorry, as overt as this, right? So he ain't like violent in the way that Joel is violent. And one of the first or biggest ways that he ended up being violent is by killing his own goddamn brother. His brain could not process that shit. He was just like, what did I do? What do you mean? What did I do? Joel was trying to get him to lower the gun, but Henry, and that surprised the shit out of me, Henry ended up shooting himself. And the way that Ellie reacted to that shit was so crazy. The actress is just really acting down, like really acting. But yeah, I was just like, wow, what a heavy episode. Ellie ended up leaving that note on their graves because she thought that her blood would have cured him, but it didn't. Saying sorry, when you know, the same note they were using to write to each other. And you could see that Ellie is just not dealing with what happened very well, which makes sense. Like, are you serious? She was like, all right, let's go, Joel. None of that talking shit. Like, what did she say? West? Which way is west? Let's fucking go. Like, and I wonder if Joel is starting to see a mirror in Ellie, right? Because that's kind of the way Joel is dealing with a lot of stuff. I'm not going to talk about it. We ain't going to have no heart to heart. Just don't bring up a test. Don't bring up nothing. We just going to do what we got to do. And it's just like, okay, if you say that, if you do that, if that's the way you act, and I'm sure Ellie has been dealing with emotions in her own way. It's the apocalypse. But especially if she sees that's the way that Joel is handling, well, she's going to handle it the same way. And it's like, okay, you can clearly see that that's not a healthy way for her to be handling it. I mean, it's not healthy for us to be in this apocalyptic situation in the first place. But if we are going to be here, like, we at least have to, I don't know, we got to talk about some stuff. We can't just hold on to all that shit, all those emotions, and just bury it. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. So Ellie's kind of over it. She was like, all right, well, I guess this is life, right? So I'm done talking. Let's go west and let's keep it pushing. But this was a really good episode. That ending had me like really gagging. That big ass bloater, the big ass zombie really had me gagging too. What else? Kathleen's storyline, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Can't wait to see what comes next. My friends who have played the game through have said, girl, that I haven't seen nothing yet. So I'm just like, okay, I'm along for the ride. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll check y'all out later. Peace.